You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful...
BTS news. New York never truly sleeps, and that night, the city skies seemed to witness something unusual. The streets around the Williamsburg Arts District were filled not with traffic or the buzz of nightlife, but with whispers. A small group of people stood silently, staring at a modest gallery that looked long abandoned. No blinding spotlights, no grand stage, no official announcement. Yet, standing in that quiet place were two of the biggest names in global music, Jungkook and Park Jimin. Not there to sing, but to convey something far deeper through movement. That it all began with a series of subtle hints on social media. A black and white post by Jungkook on Weverse with the caption, "Read between the silence." And the day before, Jimin shared an Instagram story showing a quiet street with contemporary classical music in the background. Fans initially assumed it was a teaser for a new project, but no one imagined it would lead to one of the most honest and emotional moments in their history. While the world kept speculating about a BTS comeback, these two members appeared with a new form of communication. A secret performance art blending body movement, facial expression, and profound silence. At 8 p.m., a group of specially invited guests entered the small gallery. No professional cameras, no big crew. Inside, dim lighting illuminated a single large screen at the back, playing short clips from the past. BTS practice sessions, their laughter, and silent moments never shown publicly. There was no music, only the sound of breathing, footsteps, and whispers from the screen. Then, from behind a black curtain, two figures emerged, causing the room to hold its breath. Jungkook and Jimin, dressed in all black, walking slowly to the center, locking eyes, and beginning to dance. But this wasn't dance as in a grand performance. No breakdancing, no iconic BTS choreography. What they showed was a kind of physical dialogue that flowed from one emotion to another. Fear, disappointment, longing, anger, and finally, an embrace so long that some audience members began to cry. Their movements weren't meant to impress, but to make you feel. No words were spoken, yet their bodies screamed volumes. Jimin, with fractured hand gestures as if painting something lost. Jungkook, with quick steps that suddenly halted and reversed, as if trying to escape something invisible that held him back. One attendee whispered. It felt like they wanted to speak, but their voices were gone. All that remained were their bodies. It wasn't wrong. Days before this mysterious event, rumors circulated about Jungkook being under intense pressure due to his solo project, and Jimin had reportedly canceled a recording session without explanation. HYB made no statement. That night became the answer to every unspoken question ARMY had been holding on to, and they answered not with words, but with their whole being. After 15 minutes of evolving movements, from gentle to nearly brutal, they stopped. Jimin slowly walked to the wall, touching the screen that now showed the faces of RM, Suga, Jin, V, and J-Hope in rotation. Jungkook stood in the center, head bowed, and slowly raised his left hand while pressing his right fist to his chest. That gesture, once seen when BTS accepted their first daesang, now felt different, deeper, painful. The screen then turned black. Only a heartbeat could be heard. Then one sentence appeared. "We are still here, even when." When the 20-minute video was uploaded to Bangtan, the world seemed to pause. No music accompanied its opening. Just the sound of Jimin's footsteps echoing through an empty gallery, Jungkook's heavy breathing, and a silence too real to ignore. On the screen, a small message appeared. "This is not for applause. This is for closure." And in that instant, millions of armies around the world felt as if they were there in that room, witnessing the two who had long comforted them finally unveil the wounds they had hidden. Midway through the video, there was a clip of a secret rehearsal at a HYB studio. A small room, no big mirrors, no staff, just Jimin sitting cross-legged, eyes closed, while Jungkook stood, trying to follow an invisible rhythm. Jimin's quiet voice was the only line allowed in the recording. "What if we fail?" Jungkook replied without turning. "Then we fail honestly." That line pierced through the hearts of many fans. They had never imagined that their idols, who always seemed flawless, also harbored fears of their own imperfections. That it didn't take long for global media to explode with headlines. Jungkook and Jimin's silent confession, a revolutionary act in pop culture. BTS members break the mold. Art over fame. Korean idols or contemporary performance artists? Did Jungkook just change the way we understand celebrity expression? Suddenly, this wasn't just a performance by two K-pop idols. It became a case study on emotional communication, on the limits of language, and the courage to express the inexpressible. What surprised many even more were the reactions from fellow BTS members. RM, in Berlin for a contemporary art exhibition, posted a painting on Instagram showing two silhouettes back-to-back, but connected by light. His caption, "I saw." Suga, known for his reserved nature, shared a silent piano instrumental on his story with the caption, "Sometimes words fail." Jin, still completing his military service, reportedly requested special permission to watch the video in a small room at his base and was seen crying for nearly an hour without saying a word. The most touching reaction came from V, who had reportedly grown emotionally distant from Jungkook and Jimin in recent years. On Weverse, he wrote, "I wasn't in that room, but somehow, it felt like your movements were hugging me. Thank you for not giving up on your way of speaking. The world needs that. I do too." Fans responded with deep emotion. In Seoul, Tokyo, Paris, even Jakarta, fans began recreating small versions of the gallery where the performance took place. They set up screens playing the unveiled video, surrounded by white flowers and small candles. Many came not just to watch, but to speak, or simply to be silent together. They stared at each other, embraced, or just stood in stillness for 15 minutes, mirroring the original performance. In a world growing louder, their silence became a revolution. Several professors from prestigious universities began referencing the moment in their classes. At Harvard, the course, Nonverbal Expression in Pop Culture, added a session specifically analyzing the performance as a pinnacle of human emotional communication. In South Korea, local media began re-examining how the pressure on idols from a young age creates an internal silence, a silence that sometimes doesn't explode in scandal, but blooms through art. Jungkook and Jimin became unexpected pioneers of a new language. The body is protest, the embrace is a statement, silence as liberation. Yet, even as the world buzzed with interpretations, one question remained. What were they truly trying to say? No official answer was given. But 1 month after the video's release, a digital invitation was sent to select journalists and art collectors. Only one line was written: "Return to the silence." The location? A small studio in Dongdaemun, Seoul. There, they performed again, not for the public, not for cameras. Only for 20 people who had quietly witnessed their journey. An old producer, a dance teacher, stage crew, even fans who once wrote heartfelt letters during hiatus. This second performance, called the Closure Act, was described by an anonymous attendee as even more emotional, not because the movements were grander, but because of what happened at the end. After dancing for 10 minutes with no music, Jimin and Jungkook stood still. Long. Then Jungkook picked up a microphone from the floor, looked at Jimin, and said softly, "I can finally be me." Jimin, eyes red, simply replied, "We don't have to pretend to be strong anymore."
No, but some things never change, never change. Oh, they say I should feel